Alright, top 10 strongest Johto Pokemon. I just want to get into it. I'll explain the rules as we go. Like, comment, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Number 10, Tyranitar. So, looking at Tyranitar, how is this Pokemon bad? Like, how is this a 10th strongest Pokemon when it has 100 hit points, 110 defense, 100 special defense? It sets sand. So that means it's also going to have higher special defense and a 134 attack. It should just beat up everything, right? Well, power creep happens, and it's just too honest and straightforward of a Pokemon at this time. But what about Megas? Well, that's one of the rules. I'm not factoring in Megas for this series of top 10s because who knows what's going on with Pokemon Champions. Can we use Terra and Mega? Do we only get to choose one of? What about Dynamax? We'll learn that later. I just want to go over base power. Also, you can only Mega once per battle and Terra. So that means if we're trying to like break down a Pokemon, there's multiple like powerful Terras or powerful Megas on the list. It doesn't just go into the base power of what if I'm just stuck with this because I'm Mega-ing a different Pokemon. Either way, Tyranitar is still a good Pokemon. It's got Dragon Dance threat. It's got coverage threat. It can use that sand to really annoy the opponent. It's like, oh, Focus Sash just doesn't exist, which is kind of cool. It also hurts quite a bit. It can neutrally one-shot frail sweeping Pokemon, and it also has coverage, just kind of like find a super effective KO on something, so it will take a hit, and it will throw a KO back. Or it's a 3-hit KO Pokemon, while the opponent's a 2-hit KO Pokemon. It wins a lot of 1v1s, but it doesn't do a lot throughout the course of a battle, and it's also just really free for a tanky Pokemon. Maybe that's it. Maybe Body Press has single-handedly kicked Tyranitar out of the meta, where it's like, well, Iron Defense Body Press, you lose the game because you brought Tyranitar. That's just kind of lame. Number 9, we got Slowking. And it's kind of like both Slowking and Galarian Slowking, mostly because Regenerator is busted and gives you so many options. But Galarian Slowking is like weird power creep on Slowking. Just 10 more special attack. Just less weaknesses on the typing, so you get to do more with the Galarian Slowking. But the weird thing about it for me is that I've done a lot of Pokemon Scarlet and Violet battles, and I've barely seen any of these Pokemon do anything. Same thing with Sword and Shield. I did a lot of Pokemon Sword and Shield battles after the DLC, and I haven't, like, seen it be too much of a threat. Chilly Reception's cool, but, like, Snowscape, you might as well just go Ninetales, Aurora Veil, and then try to set up some kind of, like, sweep or gimmick from there. It's like they can do things. They just kind of feel chumpy to me. But at the same time, I had a lot of people say, no, you got to put it somewhere on the list, though, because they're just good. And I guess that goes back to, yeah, Regenerator is amazing, and you can just use it as, like, a core pivot to glue your team together. And if you play really well with it, you just kind of win. And I think that's also going to go into another thing as we go deeper into the top 10s and other generations, that there's just more new fun Pokemon to play with, even if they're roughly the same power level. Maybe slapping a Slowking on your team is the answer you don't know you need. Maybe it's actually just not that good, or maybe it's a lot better than people think. So, kind of balances out. Number 8, Johto. Raikou. So we got 115, 115 sweeper. That's honest. But it's got Calm Mind. And the biggest thing Raikou has going for it is coverage on a special attacking electric sweeper. That doesn't really exist, especially now where it's like, oh, they just lose Signal Beam, so no like weird bug coverage, just kind of deal with some niche situation. So Signal Beam's gone, Hidden Power is gone, and again, you only get one Terra. That's going to eat up a move slot. If it's like, oh, I need to Terra this Pokemon for the Terra Blast, that gets awkward, that gets weird. And that also means like, oh, why don't we see more Jolteon? It has Calm Mind now. Calm Mind Jolteon, it's just Thunderbolt Shadow Ball. And maybe a Terra, but there's a lot better Pokemon to Terra. Also, Jolteon, like, immediately gets KO'd by almost any physical attacker, and Raikou doesn't, so it's like Focus Sash versus a Life Orb, and it's like Calm Mind Life Orb, and now you're one-shotting things. Raikou's just kind of cool. And this is going to be another thing you hear a lot throughout this top 10 series. It just beats you up. And it beats you up to be somewhere in the top 10 of Johto. Number 7, we got Espeon and Umbreon. So I consider these Pokemon roughly the same perceived power, and the difference between what these Pokemon want to do is night and day. That Espeon is a sweeper. We got 110 speed. Speed is so weird because 110 kind of doesn't exist. Everything's like slower and like super bulky, or you need to like go into like 130 to actually be considered a sweeper now. But it gets to set up screens against things and then just survive because it's taking half damage, and then it becomes a threat. It can go Morning Sun if this gets it pushed into a 3-hit KO range, so now you got double screens, and it can also be a threat by just throwing out 130 special attack damage at that point while setting up for your team. So, cool. Every Pokemon you have now is just going to be able to do what it wants by taking half damage, and Espeon puts in work. That's really nice. And then I look at Umbreon, and this thing is actually ridiculous. So when I said they're the same at 7, Espeon's like a 7.9, and Umbreon is just like the better 7th place Pokemon. And looking at these stats, I'm wondering, 95 hit points, 110 defense, 130 special defense. Why is no one running this absolute beast of a Pokemon? That we'd see like some crazier stats, but we don't see that good of a distribution. And maybe it is like, yeah, people just want to play the flashier new toys or something. They got like a weird power creep where it has a move, and that's just a better version of another move with an ability that's a better version of another ability. But it can just use Moonlight and then stay alive forever. And that's got Curse and Dark typing, which hurts a lot of things. It also has Dark typing, so it's immune to Prankster Taunt. So if the taunt Pokemon on the opposing team just happens to have Prankster, which isn't the rarest thing in the world, it actually doesn't get shut down while trying to set up. I don't know. This thing just seems like it should be a lot more common. Or maybe it's actually that people that have used Umbreon are just so tired of playing Umbreon that it's just sitting out for a little bit. So on the surface, this Pokemon should just be absolutely messing people up. And a really big thing about Pokemon is that usage stats do not equate power, which is why I have zero respect for Smogon players in their fake baby format. But at the same time, it's like, where is it? You know, if something's good, you should see it a bit more. So is it just a forgotten Pokemon? Is it somehow too technical and just like slot it in at the right time, do a little bit of tanking, play a little bit of hide and seek, and then it lands and just wins the game? Or maybe, yeah, people are actually bored of playing with Umbreon for over a decade of competitive Pokemon, and they just don't want to win anymore. I kind of respect it if it means not being a degenerate Umbreon player. Actually, comment down below, you degens. Did you just get tired of winning with Umbreon? Like, comment, subscribe again. Next up, we got Porygon 2. So this is one of the premier Eviolite Pokemon. That's pretty good. 85, 90, 95 Eviolite. So it just gets 50% more tanky. That's kind of crazy with 105 special attack. So it hurts. It's going to deal more damage than it takes, and then it's just going to recover all that pain away and not even care. You can also do like weird disruptive things with it. Thunder Wave, the opponent's sweeper. They get full paralysis, you heal up to full. You're in the driver's seat. You can just kind of switch out Porygon 2, bring it back in whenever, and do the same thing again, or you can just tag it with a rainbow of coverage and make the opponent feel really bad. It's a Pokemon, like, it just sits in there, and then it's really hard to deal with. It's a rock. It's a rock you have to work to chip away, and it can be frustrating just really hold a team together. Number 5, we got Skarmory. This is a weird one for me on the list, because Skarmory, you mean like the most premier defensive tank to ever exist? Shouldn't this thing be higher on the list? Should I even... Wait, when was the last time I saw Skarmory? Where is the boy? Well, Corviknight exists. And don't worry, we'll talk about Corviknight in about 6 generations. But the thing is, 65, 140 defense isn't what it used to be. It's also crazy to think about how much less power was in Pokemon back in the day, where 65, 140 was just like the premier defensive tank. And now that's just kind of like tons of Pokemon get. Again, Dondozo. Dondozo's an unaware Skarmory. Dang, kind of sucks to be Skarmory. However, things are not terrible for it, because if you have a Skarmory and they only have physical Pokemon left and you have a Rocky Helmet, you're in a pretty good position to win the game. It also gets Stealth Rock. Corviknight doesn't get that, so it fills a niche. Now, I also believe Stealth Rock is a really big noob trap, which is why Smogon players are so free that, oh, they just lead Ferrothorn or Skarmory, they throw out Stealth Rocks and lose the game turn 1. So, you don't want to play Skarmory like that. But it does something Corviknight can't, while still being a pretty good defensive tank. So you can have your opponents just break upon you, and Skarmory does alright, but oh, it's only like 5th on the list, and maybe a generous 5th. It could just be perfume from previous generations of being Skarm Bliss, the defense to the special defense. Or maybe it's still pretty good if you use it correctly. But then we get into Suicune. So now we just get into like the next tier. Actually, several tiers above into power immediately with Suicune, because what was this? 100 hit points, 115 defense, 115 special defense. What are you supposed to do about it? Nothing. It can do this to you. It can go Calm Mind, Rest, Sleep Talk, Scald. You got Scald, so you get the Scald burn, and then it takes half physical damage, and it's so tanky, you have enough attempts where it's like, okay, Scald doesn't burn, Scald doesn't burn. Rest, Sleep Talk, Scald, hey, it burned. Okay, cool, now I just win the game. Same thing on Calm Minds, that by the time a special attacker rolls around to deal with Suicune, well, that's a Calm Mind on the Switch. Already got a Calm Mind to make the Scald do more damage, now all of your physical Pokemon are burned. You can't break it down. You can't do anything about the Suicune. There's also the Chesto Resto variant, so instead of Sleep Talk, you run Chesto Berry with the Ice Beam, and it really shows how crazy Suicune is, that, okay, you get your Calm Minds and your Scalds, and then you rest, and then by the second time you rest, Suicune can just wake up and still be fine. It can do a full sleep, and then wake up and continue to destroy you, get that extra turn or two for like a Calm Mind or using an attack, and then rest again, and it will just stall you out. But it's not a stall Pokemon. It's progressing a win condition, so it just hits the Calm Mind event horizon and then destroys your entire team, and there was nothing you can do about it. And the scary thing about Suicune is that it gets lost inside of a battle, that while your opponent's worrying about other things, they forget about the Suicune, and then they realize, oh no, my 1 or 2 answers to Suicune got KO'd or got like weakened too much in the fight, and now I just lose the game. So that's what happens. Suicune lands, and then your opponent loses the game. So that's why it's one of the best Pokemon. But then we got Blissey. And here's where the top 10 list is going to get weird, especially in future episodes of this, because I've kind of mapped it out and planned out a lot of it. That I'm expecting that this is going to be for returning players want to get into competitive for the first time because it feels really cool with Pokemon champions, or maybe just completely new players. So they want things explained to them. How am I supposed to explain this? Like, it needs to be self-evident to a degree, but it's also not super new player or wanting to learn player friendly. The best way I can describe Blissey is your opponent's special attackers do not exist. If your opponent has 2 special attackers and 4 physical attackers, well, Blissey is one Pokemon that eliminates 2 of theirs. So now it's a 5v4, kind of, and even then, Blissey isn't the worst against physical attackers, like, it can get a hit before going down, and it just does that. It just invalidates all the special attackers on the opposing team, and it has a lot of options to be either really disruptive, or it can start sweeping. It gets a couple of Calm Minds in, and then like it tanks an Earthquake from a Garchomp and then one-shots it on an Ice Beam, and then the opponent's special attacker comes in to a +3 Calm Mind and can't even do the 10 damage to finish off a Blissey. And like I said in my top 10 Kanto Pokemon video, if you missed that, find the description down below. I got a playlist for all the top 10s. Like, comment, subscribe. This is going to be the best competitive content you can find, not only on YouTube, but the internet, because I bring you the hot details like Chansey gets Defense Curl, Blissey gets Defense Curl. So you go Defense Curl, Calm Mind, Soft Boiled, and then you just win the game. Just use whatever move. Dazzling Gleam, doesn't matter if your +6 Calm Mind is resisted. Ice Beam, you got Serene Grace. That's a 1 in 5 chance they get frozen, and you just win even harder. Blissey's only weakness is defense. You get 50% defense, and then you can just shrug anything off. And then you get a Defense Curl or 2, and now you're the best tank Pokemon to ever exist that cannot be KO'd by anything except for a critical hit from a physical Pokemon at the exact right time. And then you get 4, 5, 6 on the Calm Mind. Well, yeah, those Ice Beams are now 2, 3-shotting things. Hey, you can just tear down an entire team with a Blissey. It's terrifying. But it's only number 3 on the list. Number 2, Galarian Corsola. What was Game Freak thinking? Like, Corsola got buffs to get tankier. It got +10 defense, +10 special defense in Generation 7. Okay. And then Galarian Corsola got tankier and an evolution. So you Eviolite 60, 100, 100 on one of the filthiest Pokemon ever. It has Calm Mind, Iron Defense. So here's another Pokemon you just stack up to infinity. It becomes unkillable. And then it's good enough damage on that Scald, and you can also hit a Strength Sap. So it has Sustain. Oh no, this is a really powerful physical attacker. Strength Sap, Iron Defense. Special attacker comes in, it's too bulky to deal with. Calm Mind, Strength Sap is still fine for a couple of uses, and then with the Calm Mind, it's like, yeah, cool, it's doing like a 1/6 of my health, and now the Scalds are really damagey and really scary. You can also take off something like the Iron Defense because you got Burn and the Strength Sap against physical attackers. Put in something like Nightshade. Just always going to do consistent damage. 3 shots a lot of Pokemon. It's unbreakable. This is one of like the most unfun Pokemon to ever exist. Here's the scary thing. It's unavailable in Generation 9, so that's long enough for people to forget about how terrifying this Pokemon is, but it also has a lot of other weird things it can do. Instead of Nightshade, you can also run Hex. It's like Scald Burn into Hex. Pretty terrifying, depending on how many Calm Mind you have. Like, oh, that's just a 2-hit KO. And that can get really stupid, just like that. There's a stall set you can run on it, so yeah, you can just go Curse. Now, normally, Curse is plus defense, plus attack. Not on a Ghost-type Pokemon, so it's just going to Curse and rest and not care, because 60, 100, 100 with Eviolite is surprisingly tanky every time you see it. And this Pokemon is even hiding a Mirror Coat. So if you're going up against like a crazy special attacker with choice specs, you are in the sweet spot to take like 60% Mirror Coat, just one-shot the thing, and then the opponent's physical Pokemon comes in, doesn't have enough to take you off, Strength Sap, you're back up to full, or you get like 80% of your health back, and then you continue to win the game. It is ridiculous. After that, we got honorable mentions. So Johto's weird, because it's kind of low power, but you got some kind of really strong Pokemon in there. Like I said, after Suicune, it's just busted stuff. But then you also have like a lot of iconic Pokemon. Why didn't Wobbuffet make the list? That's kind of where people convince me, yeah, Galarian Slowking is like good, needs to be on the list, and Tyranitar, iconic and still beat you up. So what happened to Wobbuffet? Well, Wobbuffet just got power crept. Normally, this thing just like takes a hit, returns some kind of damage to you. That's a KO, takes another hit, gets another KO, and then with the Shadow Tag, it can choose to do that whenever. But now there's so much damage, so much power, so much setup into the game. It's really easy for Wobbuffet to lose, where it's like, oh, you can't do anything. I'm just going to Sword Stance. Encore doesn't matter because you can't do anything to me, and I'm just going to outspeed you. So it's like, yeah, you encored my Sword Stance. I was going to +6, one-shot you, and win the game anyways. Kind of sucks to be Wobbuffet right now. Smeargle. Smeargle has gotten, like, mega nerfed by Game Freak because they're tired of seeing it ruin VGC every time, and it just kind of shows up and does whatever it wants. Cool. Spore, Lock on, Sheer Cold. Yeah, we can't have that Pokemon also get an evasion boost randomly at some point. So, Moody getting nerfed. Also, it loses Dark Void. And Smeargle used to be the toolbox, but now there's just, like, so many wacky new Pokemon and moves and abilities that, yeah, there's something that just does what Smeargle would have done, but better. And Smeargle is just like a frail Pokemon that Game Freak didn't want to ever see competitive play, so kind of doesn't get to see competitive play anymore. Mantine, really good Pokemon. It's like a Blissey that doesn't immediately fold to physical hits. It's not especially tanky, but Mantine is very surprisingly especially tanky, and it can mess up an opponent's team. Dunsparce. It has Eviolite now. It's a Serene Grace Eviolite Pokemon. It's kind of cracked. You go Coil, you go Thunder Wave, you go Rock Slide, you go Roost. You win the game. Reason why it's not directly on top 10, not very reliable with all the crazy amounts of power going on in the game. And then Murkrow, a prankster, disruptive Pokemon, even in singles, because that's what this list is about, singles. Can be pretty powerful and a pretty cool add to the team, just kind of mess around and screw up an opponent. So yeah, these are good Pokemon. Barely don't make the top 10. But hey, like, you can still use them if you... Well, actually, don't use Wobbuffet or Smeargle, but the other ones, they're honorable mentions. And that brings us to the #1 strongest Pokemon, which is also one of the strongest Pokemon in the entire game. Somehow, a Johto Pokemon is hanging in there, hanging with all the top dogs, even though it's Generation 9, and we've seen some crazy stuff. It's your boy, Scizor. Now, I did a video breaking down Scizor as like one of the best Pokemon ever, and this Pokemon has revolutionized damage theory. Wait, what's damage theory? I've never heard about anyone talk about that ever, and that's why you will only find the best competitive Pokemon content on my channel, because it's about being extra mindful of how damage interacts with your Pokemon, and then using that to optimize your stats. Now, that just sounds like competitive Pokemon with fancier words, where it's like, yeah, I'm always working on optimizing my EVs or trying to balance things out. But this kind of takes it to the next level, and that video breaks it down. But overall, like, the conclusion is, oh, Scizor is one of the craziest Pokemon once you actually really think about it and really optimize it. Scizor is incredibly efficient at using every turn to get more efficiency than the opponent until it just automatically wins the game. Now, I said we're not really taking terrestrialization into consideration, but with these top 10s, when you get into like the best of the best, oh, you just go Terra Steel Scizor, you find a way to get 2 Swords Dance, and then Bullet Punch is priority. That just wins the game and Giga Mega Sweeps. And there's a couple of different ways for Scizor to achieve that. Oh man, if they mess up with Pokemon Champions and they give this thing Roost again, Scizor is going to go even crazier. But that's really it. Like, oh, against physical Pokemon, you Iron Defense, your Swords Dance, and then you either just like Citrus Berry Trade or you Chesto Resto, and then you win the game. You go max special defense. Wait, what about, 252 with hit points attack? No, special defense is the optimization here. And then that gets you that Swords Dance. And then against a frail special attacker, sometimes you only just need that one Bullet Punch Swords Dance to take something out because Scizor has such crazy stats. Scizor is the clay from which all of competitive Pokemon is sculpted from. It's just that good. So I hope you guys enjoy the video. Like, comment, share, tell me your thoughts about which Pokemon should go where, what Pokemon should have been on the list, or how all that other stuff breaks down, or if the video helped you out in any way. And then, like, commenting, sharing, one of the biggest things. Subscribe for more. Hope you guys enjoy the video. Hope you all have a nice day. Thank you very much for watching.